The Hustleshare podcast is brought to you by Payoneer, a digital payment platform that provides online money transfer with its fast, flexible, secure, and low-cost solutions. Businesses across the world can pay and get paid globally. Visit Payoneer.com now. Also by Unbounce, the leading platform for A/B testing made easy. With Unbounce, you don't need to be a developer to build high-converting landing pages, pop-ups, and sticky bars. Hustleshare listeners get 20% off on their first 3 months after the free trial period. Visit bit.ly/hustlebounce to learn more.
So for me, it's really impacting the lives of the farmer and doing this by providing them access to the resources they need to improve their lives.
Welcome to Hustleshare, the podcast that features the daily grinds of unique hustlers around the world to show not our differences, but that our hustles are very much alike. Now here's your host, Ronster Bae-pyong.
Welcome to episode 41 of the Hustleshare podcast. My name is Ronster, and I'm your host. And this episode is powered by Payoneer, a digital payment platform that provides online money transfer, empowering businesses around the world to grow globally. Now, if you're new to the show, I'd like to remind you that this podcast is for adult only, so make sure there are no kids around when you're listening to this. Because today we're going to be talking to a champ, and his name is Mr. Ruel Amparo. He's the founder and CEO of Cropital. And recently, Ruel just won the Wildfire pitching competition during the Ignite conference. And we're lucky because he agreed to tell us why he's providing small farmers an affordable financing solution through his startup, Cropital. But before that, Ruel is going to share with us how he started Cropital during his college and why he started it. He's also going to share with us why he took a break from doing capital for a bit and what he learned when he did corporate in the petroleum industry and all the things he learned there that he was able to apply when he started to do Cropital again in its next version. Especially now that Ruel truly understands how bad the problem is for Filipino farmers and how badly they need help so they don't get taken advantage of when they do their harvest. Ruel is also going to share with us his experience being incubated in Magic while he was in Malaysia and the difference in terms of perspective that he was able to get while he was doing that. And this is where it gets real because Ruel also will share the risks he took as a co-founder and how frugal he got to overcome the early struggles they had, and also his personal struggles and how he overcame all of those to put Cropital where it is now. And stick around till the end because Ruel's also going to give tips on how to win pitching competitions, how you can push through hard times, and how you can get involved in helping our local farmers get to that level that they need to be using Cropital. So if you're ready to learn the hustle behind Cropital, let's begin this episode right now. Welcome to the latest episode of the Hustleshare podcast. We are with the champ. The champ is here. All right. So just to give a little bit of context, I said it during the intro. This guy is on a mission, and you've been winning. So hats off to you, my man, for doing something or trying to solve something that's really an imperative thing for the Philippine Republic to go through with what you're solving. So again, I said it in the intro. Welcome to the show, Ruel Amparo of Cropital. Well, Ruel, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. My pleasure to be in this show.
Okay, and then congratulations again because you won, was it the Wildfire pitching competition?
Yes.
In Ignite, last Ignite,
Yes.
just recently, a few weeks back from here. So, real quick, you've been listening to the show. You kind of are familiar. How's it feel now being on the guest side of things?
It's actually nerve-wracking.
No, why? I don't know.
Because I've been listening a lot,
Okay.
actually, and I've been learning a lot from you and from your
Thank you,
guests.
thank you.
And I just want to be at par with them or
Dude.
even better than them.
This is gonna be a hell of an episode. So let's begin. Let's get this gamut. And I know you've heard of this before. Ruel, what's your hustle?
Okay, so my hustle is basically providing small farmers with access to affordable financing.
Okay. Why are you doing this hustle? I mean, we all know that farmers are probably the most inconvenienced or the most taken advantage of in our society, which is a shame because they're the ones who feed us. They're the ones who put the delicious food in our digestive system. But what's the rationale behind it, and why do you want to solve this problem?
Okay, so for me, it is a problem that I've seen myself.
Okay.
So actually, just a quick history.
Okay. Let's ride the Hustleshare time machine now.
Okay.
All right, let's do this. So, why? Is it a personal thing to you? How did this start?
Okay, so I grew up in a family where, my grandparents own a farm in Bulacan.
Oh, wow.
And I have several farmer relatives, basically.
Okay.
And I grew up in Quezon City, the city, but I always spend my summer in Bulacan. So that's where I got my exposure, particularly with how farming is and what the struggles are. Basically.
Oh, okay.
So one thing that I've seen was that we have been constantly actually taking debts from our supplier to get the supplies that we need and also the cash that we need to plant. And this is
it's a vicious cycle. Like you're always chasing tail because of course you want to produce or you want to plant seeds so you can sow them right after. But if you don't have resources, what are you gonna do? So it's a chicken and egg, right?
Yes.
Correct.
So for me, it's something. It's already normal for most of the farmers. It's already like step 1.
Okay.
Maghanap ng mautangan. Then step 2, start farming. So what's kind of made me think was actually the interest rate that we are actually paying. So utang is not necessarily bad if you could actually leverage on it, earn more from it.
But if it's predatory,
that's where the line actually.
So you said that the debts are pretty predatory. What are we talking about in terms of interest rates and whatnot? What's the norm? What's status quo?
The lowest I've seen.
Okay.
It's 5% per month. It's the lowest.
Wow. And if the loan sizes are how much for you to be able to produce like a good yield or whatnot?
Okay, so for rice farmers, usually it's around 15,000 for a minimum. Then can go as high as around 30,000 per hectare.
Per hectare. And usually what's the hectare count on an average that we're talking about?
1.5 hectare per farmer.
Wow. And these are lands, again, this is another, we can probably discuss in another topic. But are these lands theirs or mostly are they're planting on someone else's land?
It's actually 50-50. Based on our data.
Okay, and the farmers that need this most, are these the ones that are planting on someone else's land, or are they planting on their land? Who are the ones that need the loans more?
The ones who are actually renting it.
Wow.
Because as you see, some of the financial institutions could offer loan if you have land as a collateral.
Oh shit.
So if you don't own your farm and you're just renting it, it's really, you have limited options to actually where to get funding from.
Right, because you're pretty much fucked, right? Because you're planting on someone, but in order for you to survive, you have to rent the land, which that's something that you have to loan for too, right? And then whatever you sow is not. I mean, there's now whatever's left is yours because you got to pay the loan and whatnot. So that's the norm, right? But before we get into deep here, let's do that later on as we go. How did you start your hustling? Because I'm literally stalking you again. Shout out to LinkedIn. They don't pay us on this one, but you grew up in QC. What was the epiphany like? How did you remember going to this journey? Because you're a city boy. It's hard to. I mean, going in there in the summer, great, you see it and whatnot. But if it's not deeply entrenched and whatnot, how did you start your hustle and how did you end up in this calling? Because this is not just a startup.
Yeah.
You're trying to change a lot of people's lives. and indirectly let's go back to basic science 101. You're affecting the fucking food chain here, right? Because whatever happens in the crops goes all the way to our stomach. Every one of us is affected of this. But for you, how did you start hustling as far as you can remember?
Okay, so actually, I could say that Cropital was inspired by a project we did during college.
Wow. Okay, what was this project?
Okay, so I took up industrial engineering in UP Diliman.
Okay.
And I was third year, I believe during that time. It was 2011. And in that particular course, we need to have a project for the entire semester.
Okay.
So what we did was actually exactly or quite similar to Cropital right now.
Already.
Yes.
Well, is it with a tech or was it? So what did you guys do? And again, why this project of industrial engineering? There's so many projects you can solve because you guys by default are the problem solvers of society. You just don't get enough credit for it, but you guys are built for this. Why this?
Okay, so when I heard about that, we will be needing to have a project.
Okay.
One of the things that actually top of mind are what are the problems that exist, and what are the opportunities that technology could actually solve, because this is a technopreneurship class.
Okay.
And during this period, it is the time where Farm Bill, those type of
right.
Okay,
that was big in 2011, right?
Yes.
Cool. So this is already like right in front of you, but when you started this, did you have any background in tech? Like, how did you build this from the ground up, and how did this idea of yours blossom from there?
Okay, so from the class project, basically it was just an idea, a concept that was made into a business plan. But 4 years after, as I believe, 2015, an incubator program in Malaysia popped in to my newsfeed in Facebook.
Okay, and while you were in this, were you doing other? Were you graduate by that time?
I already am working in Petron during this time.
Wow! And what? Just before we get into the accelerator thing that you tried to do, what were your jobs like, and what are the key skills that I guess you acquired in those stints? Because I saw that you went into a lot of petroleum related jobs.
Yes.
Right, and I want to dig deep a little bit on that one. In this industry, is it similar to agriculture by default? Because this is a very regulated industry. They're kind of conniving with each other because it's gas, right? And this is probably the most. This is like gold now, right? So, what were those skills, and how is it like working in that industry?
Okay, so quickly, actually, during the time I was still in college, I've already been working in different companies.
Wow, really?
As an intern or as a part-time job.
Okay.
So, two of the companies during the time I was still in college are related to petroleum. One is with Shell.
Okay, cool.
The other one was actually a part-time work with Boston Consulting Group.
Okay.
It just so happened that it's oil and gas related.
Got it.
Then my full-time job after college was in Petron.
Okay.
So also oil and gas. So things that I've learned during the time I was in Shell, I was actually a finance intern. So I was working with their accounting and forecasting department.
Okay.
So most of the things that I've learned was actually about basically numbers.
Right.
How do actually how do we budget and how do we plan on certain things? So this one is related to, I'm not sure if I'm allowed to actually explain.
No, just again, whatever's safe that you can say.
But basically it's more of accounting during the time that I was there.
Got it.
But the next one is with Boston Consulting Group.
Okay.
This is highly research.
All right.
So, and this one, I knew of a bit of the oil and gas industry already.
Yeah.
But I need to dig deeper. Because basically, BCG needs really good quality data.
How fucked up are those oil companies that you're supposed to do finance? They let you go dig deep the oil? No, just kidding. I thought they let you dig. I was like, what? Did you run out of manpower? No, just kidding. Okay, so you dig deeper. What were those things you were digging for? What were those things that you need to understand more? Because a lot of these metrics are already there. What more do they not know?
Okay, so this is a bit more confidential.
Okay, but whatever. Let's give it aliases and whatnot. What were those things?
Okay, so I've been really focused on the opportunity in the oil and gas industry.
Okay.
Particularly in the export of oil and gas industry.
Got it.
Or rather,
Alright.
import.
From overseas going here.
Yes. And
Got it.
creating...
New opportunities and whatnot. Because technically the Philippines, again, unlike most oil-rich companies, which with the exception of Venezuela, right, which imploded and whatnot, oil-rich companies or oil-rich countries are probably the most richest in across the world. Malaysia has some, Petronas and whatnot, and whatnot. We're the unfortunate country that will always import. That's why any up spike with oil will always affect our inflation and all our other goods and whatnot. Now, going back, were you still in the oil hustle? Let's call it your oil hustle. When you saw the ad, what was the ad like?
Okay, so the ad was like, it's an accelerator program.
Yep.
For idea, stage, or technology startups.
Got it.
So it was similar to Idea Space, the way I actually perceive it, because I know Idea Space before. I knew the Malaysian incubator program.
So what was it called?
It's Magic.
Magic, yeah. So I was, I've had the chance to visit Magic several times. I was blown away because this was inaugurated by Obama.
Yes.
Along with so Magic stands for, wait, let me just make that Malaysian Global Innovation and Creativity Center. It was not in KL. Think of it like if it's in Manila, Magic was in Clark, and it's in Putrajaya and Cyberjaya. Cyberjaya is like their cyber whatever sector there that they're trying to groom it as their cyber hub in Malaysia. And people just go there. If you go there, there's nothing to do. There's one mall. There's a shit ton of crows, which freaks me out all the time. And you'll be forced really to work on your shit, really, right? But what was that experience like when you were in Magic? And was it Cropital right away, or did you try something else and whatnot?
It's already Cropital.
So you you joined the application. Is it the same crew you fucked with? Oh, I'm sorry. You same crew you or the same partners or thesis mates you had with, or is it different?
Okay, one of my partners during that group project, I was with him for the proposal, and we got a developer who I know of.
So what was the difference now? Because before was the difference from the thesis like? Because this was a span of how many years in between? 4 years? Oh wow! So a lot of change.
Yes.
You've matured literally as again acquired key skills as you go. What changed from the initial thesis to what you submitted in Magic?
Okay, so during the first thesis was actually more like a profit sharing type of business. It's like me investing money to a farmer, and whatever the farmer actually gets, we split the profit.
Got it.
So right now,
so it's your out-of-pocket cost.
Yes.
Before the first version.
Yeah.
Okay. And now, what was the new iteration when you did Magic?
Okay, so actually after Magic, we started to look into loans as a way to finance farmers rather than investing in them.
Right, because you're going to be very limited to what you can only afford.
Yes.
Right? Now, but before we take a break real quick, what are the key things you learned in Magic that you haven't seen in other, you've done Idea Space and all these things, right? What's the difference in working in a program like Magic where, they don't really take equity, or do they? No, they don't, right? This is all a grant, but they give you a stipend so you can survive in fucking Cyberjaya, right? But what were those things that they impart on you that until now you're still using?
Okay, I think one of the most important thing is the global perspective.
Yes.
Because as someone growing up in the Philippines, your perspective is just, okay, I'll have a company in the Philippines and I'll scale it in this province, so on and so forth. But looking at the perspective in Magic, who they introduce you to are like the Grab, the 500 the startups, and a lot of other growing ventures during that period.
Right. So you've now been open to this whole new perspective that, you know what, if you're gonna go create a startup, swing for the fences and not be limited to just the Philippines. All right, Ruel, let's take a break, and when we come back, let's take a deep dive on how you're now doing Cropital. But more of that after the break. Hey hustlers, let's take a quick break from the episode to talk about a big mistake I did early in my own hustle as a startup founder. And that's going all in on my startup without having any other source of income. Now you might say that's weird because we talk about going all in a lot in this podcast, but allow me to tell you what exactly happened to me early on. Back in my first startup called Cropital, I resigned from my day job thinking that I'm gonna get funded when I started winning pitching competitions because I thought I was gonna get funded very soon. But the reality is it took me 3 years to get funded and I was very broke during that time. And just because I wanted to go all in, I didn't take any side hustle. And the bad thing was I was dependent on my startup for my survival while I was trying to grow it. So I ended up getting a lot of bad deals because I was desperate. So in my next startup, which is Chatbot PH, I made sure that I'm not going to make the same mistake. So I got into the art of freelancing. By making enough money on the side to make ends meet, it allowed my startup to flourish and get acquired in just 12 months after I put it up. But that wouldn't happen if I didn't get paid on time. And there's one product that I relied on heavily to get paid easily, and it's Payoneer. Payoneer saved me from a lot of hassle because it's the fastest way to get paid, especially if you're doing freelancing. And the cool thing about it is that it goes straight to your bank account, so you don't have to worry about your money getting stuck in a wallet somewhere. So whether you're a freelancer, e-commerce seller, digital marketer, or any hustler that requires B2B payment, I highly recommend that you use Payoneer to get your money. So register now and go to Payoneer.com or download the Payoneer app on the App Store or Google Play. Alright, let's get back to the show. Welcome back. We're still with the champ, Ruel Amparo of Cropital. Okay, so Ruel, before the break, you mentioned that, you've now been open to this whole perspective of being in magic. And there's not a lot of people that have been there. And again, our curse from the Philippine startup ecosystem is that sometimes we're too narrow-minded. That we only want to solve the problem within our own backyard. But they don't know that this problem also exists in other backyards in the whole fucking neighborhood, right? Which is, I'm talking about Southeast Asia. Coming back after Magic, what was it? What did you guys do? I mean, Magic didn't really give you money per se, right? What are your next steps that you guys did in Cropital? You got the MVP out by this time?
The
MVP? Was it a product already?
Yes, we already have the MVP at this stage after Magic. So around December, as I can remember, I was the only one full-time during this time. Right. And I've been hustling because, of course, we already have farms running during this period, and we need to start talking to the lenders that we already acquired and continue growing and growing.
All right, I'll tell you how I actually found out about you. Because I didn't find out about you through the tech startup ecosystem. Okay. You know how I found out about you? It was one of those Inuman sessions with my best buddies in high school. And I was like, catch up, blah, blah. It's like, he tells me, like, there's this app or this website that you can buy or lend people some shit. Like, what? Are you crazy? I thought he was already drunk. And I checked you out, and it's like, wow, Cropital. That's why when I met you here several years back, you're the dude that's doing this. So hats off to you because you now already got this. And this was like 2-3 years ago.
Yes.
Right. So you're really making an impact, not just for the farmers, but you're also making an impact for those people that want to lend and want to help. Yes. So mad props on that one.
Thank you.
Okay, so from this point, now you're taking this alone. Let's now talk about the hard shit, bro. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, you had a really decent job with petroleum. I know the packages they give you in there. Those are pretty decent. What made you jump ship as like the full-time co-founder? Because as the weight comes in, the full-time guy usually takes the biggest risk. Yes. What were those risks that you took personally to become the guy, and why was it you?
Okay, so I believe the first risk is actually the uncertainty of having a constant income.
Survival. Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for me, actually, during that time, I was really very frugal, right, from the start.
Got
So even though I'm earning, I almost not spending anything.
Right. What was that hustle like? So, all right, let's paint that picture because I know that drill. For a good 4 to 5 years when I was starting out, dude, I gotta eat whatever. I ate whatever.
Yeah.
You know, whatever free meal, I'll take it. How was that like? And while you were doing that, how were you growing Cropital?
Okay. During the first 6 months, outside Magic was the most difficult.
Okay.
Okay. So I'm really going to different provinces, riding buses,
Right.
Riding motorcycles,
Yep.
habal-habal. Because
No angkas.
because I
Right.
really need to save money.
Yes.
And the only thing that I remember eating is always 7-Eleven hot dog. That's my
Which
staple
one? Which
food.
flavor? Do you have a
The cheese dog.
The cheese
flavor.
dog. Okay.
And-
Shout out 7-Eleven cheese dog for this.
And I got to survive actually going to different provinces.
Yeah.
And it's quite cheap to be fair in eating in Carinderia, so on and so forth. But personally, I really don't have any bandwidth to spend on myself.
Yeah.
The only personal expense that I have is haircut.
Wow.
During
Right. And you have a pretty decent haircut right now.
Right now.
When you win a pitching competition, you can afford a fucking
That's
haircut,
true.
right? So back then, that's the only thing you spend on, right? And whatnot. But walk us through the emotional side. This is something that we don't really get to talk about much because as physical exhaustion toes up, and then you don't see the best when you always think like, this is gonna make it, and it doesn't happen. How was that like in the grind after Magic, and you know, and nobody's invested yet at this point, right?
Yes.
And then walk us through the next milestone, I guess, and how that happened.
Okay, so some of the highlights of the, let's say, heartbreaks that I
Right.
had, well, one thing is that I had to break up with my special someone.
Okay.
Which, because of some of the things that
Right.
I have to do with my startup also.
Right.
And I think that's one of the hurdle. But
Right.
I was able to overcome it, and I realized that anything else that is about me with any relationship,
Right.
I think I can deal with it.
Yeah.
So, but aside from that, it's really the hustle
Right.
of making things work that is the hardest.
Right.
Given the conditions also that I don't have control of, like the weather.
Yep.
So, during this first phase,
Right.
one thing that I really struggled with was because the first set of farmers that we had was challenged by this challenging weather, basically. So the harvest wasn't really as good as I wanted it to be. So it has to be, so from there we learned a lot
Right.
on how to do actually, or on how to react on it the next time we do it. And
Right.
actually we started considering, should we still pursue profit sharing or should we go with the loans already?
So that's where you kind of like fiddled with it. But before I ask my next question, what made you push through? Because heartbreaks and startup struggles, it's like a double whammy.
Yeah.
It's hard, bro. Like I know how it is, but what kept you pushing?
It's really the farmers. One situation that I would like to share was that there was this time that we invested in one of the farmers that we have, and after the harvest, we were there.
Right.
Then basically the buyer picks up everything, and
Right.
after the costing, we got our part, but there's nothing left for the farmer.
Wow.
So it's really heartbreaking to see that perspective.
Yeah.
Because-
Because you became pregnant, and all of a sudden your baby gets taken away
Yeah.
the moment you give birth.
Yes.
Right.
So the thing with what happened is that we didn't earn at all, and the money isn't ours to begin with. We need to bring it back to the
Right.
lenders or to the investors. So we really have to try to compensate the farmers in another way.
Got it.
So that's the time we feel like, okay, I think vegetables isn't the best one, and investment isn't the best thing that we can do as of this moment.
Right. Unfortunately, right?
Unfortunately.
But still, that sticks with you, and
It-
it's not just a startup now; it's a calling. Is that safe to say?
Yes.
Absolutely. Okay, now you had a breakthrough, and then the money started coming in. Let's talk about you got to Idea Space, right? Actually, your batch, what batch were you?
2016.
Well, batch 4 was
Four?
it? Okay, there's so many people in batch 4 that I've already had here in this fucking show. Are you batchmates with Invest Ed
Yes.
and Style Genie?
Not Style Genie.
Sure. Okay, cool. But yeah, I invested. So Idea Space fucking pay us already. No, I'm just kidding. We've had so many Idea Space alumnus or alumni that's been here before. Okay, how did you get into the Idea Space program, and what are those things you picked up from? Because one thing I like about what Idea Space does now, and this is not part of how they did it at first, is they make you go through the AIM program. What are those things you learn aside from, of course, the monetary support that they give?
Okay. I always tell this to Miss Dayan.
Okay,
Shout out.
Mother Hen, shout out.
Yeah.
Yep.
That one thing that I learned from Idea Space
Right.
is looking at Cropital not just as a project but
Okay.
as a business.
Yes. So what were those things? So what made you say that you're just a business? Because before, what was your perspective, and how did Idea Space change that?
Well, when you're a first-time entrepreneur,
Yeah.
or at least doing this kind of thing, you tend to actually approach things as a project. Like,
Yes.
um,
So racket.
okay, gagawin ko to, and these are the things that I need to achieve this goal. But actually, at the end of the day, it's really about the long-term thinking.
Yes.
That's how will I make money? How can I actually impact more people? How can I be
Okay.
sustainable in doing these things?
Got it. Now, what are those hard skills though that you've learned? I'm actually jealous. I've never been to Idea Space as a investee, and I've always been curious. Like, what do they teach you guys in the AIM program? I mean, there's also theory, right?
Yes.
But if you're now applying this in your main hustle, right? Well, how much did that help you with what you're doing?
Okay, so with a program like AIM,
Yeah, dude.
it makes you actually approach things in a more structured way.
Ah,
So, because if you're just doing it like what you kind of learn from college and so
Right.
on, and especially if you didn't take accounting and
Right.
business, you tend to just write down notes
Yep.
and deal with it.
there's no structure. It's
cash
actually
in,
a Hail
cash
Mary
out,
every time. Right.
Profit.
Ah, got it. So, all right, what were those things that you remember till now that probably will be the highlight of what you learned in there?
In Idea Space.
Yes.
Well, aside from me looking at Cropital as a business,
Right.
it's really further understanding my why.
What's your why?
So for me, it's really impacting the lives of the farmer and doing this by providing them access to the resources they need to improve their lives.
Got it. Okay. Now that's deeper now, especially as we go, and you wear that chip on your shoulder as we go every
Yes.
single day. All right. Now, after Idea Space, was it all fun and butterflies, or was it like more what most of us go through, ups and downs, and then until you got to the next one, which is Fledge LLC. What's Fledge, and how did you get there?
Okay, so Fledge is a US social impact accelerator program.
Wow. Okay. And
So-
how did you get here? Because this is, again, it's hard to get to be in the radar of these things. How did you even know that there's such a thing?
It's really through Impact Hub.
Impact Hub, so Cess Ronderio.
Yes.
So shout out to you. Okay.
Yes.
How did they hook you up with this?
Okay, so it's through CES
Okay.
and the Impact Hub network that we found out that there is this program
Okay.
for social impact startups.
Got it. All right. And what did you get in the Fledge? Again, now you got magic experience in Idea Space. What did you get in Fledge, and what was it? Was there a monetary investment on that one?
They did.
Nice, good job. How if you don't mind, was it a big check? Was it a seed? Is it equity? What did they usually get?
It's really a pre-seed type of
Okay.
check. It's not really too big.
All right, but it's good enough to
It's
now
good
help people
Yeah.
out. At this point, how big was the team, and how was the company health like back then?
During this time, we're still around 4 people.
Okay, and those 4 people, what were they doing?
So it was me, my 2 other founders.
Okay, what were they in charge of?
Okay, so, and we just have another part-time during that.
Okay,
But
okay.
Basically, I manage most of the farm operations
Oh
related.
wow!
Then I have a co-founder that basically develops the website,
Yep,
the
tech guy,
platform.
right?
Then the other person actually intermediates that handles the admin. So
the back office
yes,
shit.
the back office. Then there's another person who assists me in the field.
Wow. And that's secondly sales and marketing at the same time, right? What were those things that you did to, because it's a marketplace as startup, right? You have to match the farmers and the loan givers, right? Let's just tackle real quick again the value proposition now, because it's crystal clear to the farmers. I'll give you resources so you can do your shit, right? So that you can
improve your income.
Correct. And then some of that will get to you. But on the other side, how did you evangelize this to the point that my friend knows about you? And it's weird because I'm in tech and I don't know, right? So how did you now address that market with limited resources?
Okay, so the way we approach it is basically we just post on Facebook what we do, what we are trying to do, and how people could actually support us. We posted in different pages. I remember talking to the admin, pwede po pa post, those kind of things, so that I could actually share the landing page that we have and try to encourage people to actually join the cause.
What was the one that really worked the most? That made the uptick? Because as you try a lot of experiments, majority of them fail, right? What was the one that really got you enough traction that converted?
Well, to be fair, on the side of the lenders, it was really social media. So
and word of mouth.
Word of mouth.
Right.
Word of mouth.
Okay, Ruel, I think I missed out on, was it Magic Idea Space Pledge or Magic Pledge Idea Space?
It's Magic Pledge then Idea Space.
Okay. So you got prior funding with Pledge already.
Yes.
Before you got the Idea Space thing.
Yes.
Now, after Idea Space, you're out there, right? You're on your own. And a lot of, again, like what our Carmina of Invested said, the scariest shit she went through. So if you want to learn more, just look into season 1 of Invested, how they won the Cartier Women's Initiative. She talked about this. The hardest part happened after Idea Space. Was that the same for you guys?
Yes.
Okay, what made it hard?
Well, the team starts to actually grow.
Okay.
And along with the clients that we have. But because when you're on your own already, and during this time, we haven't really figured out that we'll focus on rice loans. We are trying to have vegetable investment loans, investments, vegetable loans, and we have rice loans. And we even have commercial type of funds or funding.
Okay.
And this is the time that we are really burning the funds that we got from Idea Space.
Okay.
And
that wasn't much. I mean, I'm not trying to say, but it's that would probably last you, if you have a lean team, a good 6 months the most.
That's true.
Right.
That's true.
But you gotta raise funds or else you're gonna be fucked, right? So, did you get into the Valley of Death?
Well, at some point we got some angel funding.
Good. And how do you now hustle to get angel funding?
Okay, so for angel funding, what happened to us is we've been receiving messages from individuals who saw our platform and they are interested to investing in the company and not only to the farmer.
Nice. And how did you convert them and make sure that you don't get a predatory deal? Because sometimes when you get desperate, this happened to me myself, right? There's several parts in Party File where it's like, shit, I don't have payroll money. Like, okay, I'm gonna take this and whatnot. And apparently it was a poison pill. Like, fuck, I should have took that. Now, how do you make sure you prevented that from happening from you guys?
Okay, so one thing is that I actually try to several attempts to say no.
Wow, you're the one saying no.
Yes.
Shit,
so,
that's cool.
One thing with me is that I'm really frugal.
Okay.
So I know that I can
again shout out to 7-Eleven cheese dog. Before, if you eat one cheese dog, now you can afford 2 cheese dog. Okay. Share me some cheese dog after this. Okay, go.
So I can actually sustain the organization very lean without needing external money. But I know that I cannot really explore a lot of opportunities.
Got it.
But when this person came in, I tried to resist several times because I know how risky it is for any investor to put in money, and I want to know the intention also and that the how how open is this person with the risk involved in investing in a startup.
Of course.
So, but after a while getting to know this person, I really felt that, okay, this is the right one at this stage where we are in.
And what made you say yes?
Well, during the time that I feel like it's time already because there are opportunities ahead.
Did
and
he
also
give you a cheese dog? No.
No.
Okay.
No.
Right.
And there are also where the team is growing, so the expenses are also growing.
Right.
I felt the need na, okay, I will go back to this person na. And I will try to ask again if she is still interested.
Got it. And what did she say?
She's still open. So it was really a good thing.
Okay, so it's really the right time at the right place. Okay, now let's take another break and let's talk about the most recent achievement and how you got to this, because you recently just won something big. And again, I want to ask you about that in the hustle sharing segment on our last part, powered by our sponsor, but we don't have what yet at this moment, but maybe we will. But let's talk about that more after the break. Hey guys, let's take another quick break to talk about a little trick that helped us get traction in Chatbot PH very early and ultimately helped us get acquired. And it's called A/B testing. Basically, it's creating two versions of the same site or landing page to see what works and what converts for you. Because one of the worst things you can do as a founder is put all your eggs in one basket and hope that it converts. This is why a lot of early stage startups don't get the traction that they want because they're hoping and praying and they don't iterate quickly. A/B testing eliminates that problem. So now you can really see which part of your site converts by giving different designs to different sets of users. And I'll tell you right now which platform we used to allow us to do this. And it's called Unbounce. Here you can now create two sets of your startup's landing page and see which one really converts for you, so you don't have to keep guessing people actually like your site's design or not. And the cool thing about this is also it does not require you to be a developer. So you can literally put up a site very quickly. You can now also use this for your pop-ups and sticky bars. But hold on, because I'm not yet done dropping bombs out here. Because we found a way to give you Unbounce long-term after you do your 30-day free trial. Just go to bit.ly/hustlebounce to get 20% off your first 3 paid months, so you can run better experiments long term. And I'm not trying to bullshit you here, because if you go to Chatbot PH, we're still running Unbounce for our website. So go ahead and check it out to use the power of A/B testing for your startup. And we're back for the final part of the Hustleshare podcast. Today, now we're going to be talking about the hustle sharing segment, right? Now, Ruel, I wanted to ask you about something very important, right? Because you just recently won a pitching competition. First question I wanted to ask in the hustle sharing segment that we have, or the hustle sharing tips and whatnot. How hard is it to win a pitching competition? In my heyday, 2011, 2012, I almost won 2, but I'm almost first runner-up. It's like, fuck, I should have won it. And it's hard because a lot of us, all the startups have all probably tried this, because we're, they teach you how to pitch and whatnot, but only a few win. How do you think? What are those things that the factors that you think that made you win the last one?
Okay, so some interesting things.
Okay.
The pitching last week was actually with Future Now, the Ignite pitching competition, and joined with the Seed Star competition.
Yep.
But actually,
so you got 2 birds in one stone.
Yes.
Right.
But actually, Cropital already joined Seed Star for the 3rd time.
Oh.
We've been losing every time. And this is our 2nd time to actually pitch in Ignite.
Wow. So you just kept going at it.
Yes.
What did you do differently now that you didn't get to do in the first 2 or 3 times you did it?
Actually, the key is always really focusing on your business and having those traction present by the time you pitch.
Got it. So what are those tractions that you now show? So before, it's like, it's easy to sell the idea, right?
Yes.
But if you don't have the traction, then what the actual fuck, right? So
yes.
what are those upticks that they saw, like, ooh, that's cool. All right.
Okay.
Because now it's like a repitch, right?
Yes.
But when they said like, wow, I remember you pitching and you're just like at this point and now at this.
Yes.
What were those numbers like and what did they see that you showed during the pitch?
Sure. The first thing is that we've actually released already around $1 million worth of loans.
No
to farmers.
fucking $1 million?
Yes.
Holy
around
shit.
45
wow.
to 50 million peso
Wow.
of loans to farmers.
That much money already. Okay.
Yes.
Those are coming from your investors and also the people that are invest in the platform.
Yes.
So that's extreme validation, right? If you're talking about 1 million, not pesos, but dollars, and that's a ton of money that's coming onto you. What else?
We've already reached 8 provinces, around 700
Namely, which
farmers.
ones?
We have Pampanga, Pangasinan, Bulacan, Batangas, Leyte, Bohol,
Wow.
and also a few from Nueva Ecija.
Wow, that is awesome. But you went there personally yourself.
Yes.
Holy shit, that's amazing. That's a hustle in itself, man. What else? What do you think? I mean, in terms of delivery, did you change something in how you pitch and whatnot? What were those things?
Sure. So, actually, the way we provide our loans is
Okay.
quite differently now
Okay.
from the way we do it before.
Alright.
So, the story that I shared about the farmer wouldn't get any after really harvesting, we tend to look into that situation, what happened, what can we do for it to never happen again,
Right.
and do it. Basically, what we figured is that there was low prices during that time.
Okay.
There was weather disturbances during that time, and
Got
there
it.
was actually pest also. That
So
hit
these
that
are
farmer
fortuitous
during-
events that you cannot control.
we cannot control, but we can actually help mitigate.
Ah, so what were those? How do you help them mitigate that? Do you provide them pesticides or whatever, roofing or anything like, like an anting, put them on the or to prevent the bad things to happening? What were those things?
Okay, so one thing is that we process crop insurances for our farmers.
Wow, there's such a thing?
There is.
Holy
And
crap.
It is,
Okay.
it is actually free for farmers, at least for
Wow.
majority, but most don't know how to process or don't even know about it.
So you walk them through to get this.
Yes, we process it. So they just need to fill
Awesome.
out one application form, and we already just pull out the data, then process it for them.
Got it. All right.
Then
What else?
The next one is that we actually have partner technicians on the ground.
Okay.
So the farmers have access to best practices, and if there are diseases
shit.
and so on, they could access our
So
technician
now you
partners.
put the signs behind it too, right?
Yes.
Okay, and lastly,
And the buyer.
the
So
buyer.
right now, it's really providing or ensuring fair market prices
Okay.
by having buyer partners in place.
Got it. It's not predatory. It's fair, and you regulate this to make sure that everything's on point.
Yes.
Per se. Okay, got it. Is there any other X factor do you think that made you win?
I believe it's really the people
Okay.
who are really concerned for the welfare of the farmers in Cropital. So
Got it.
actually, everyone in the team
Okay.
really has the heart for the farmer.
Got
That
it.
I can vouch.
All right.
So every decision that
You
we
share the same
actually
vision,
make,
per se.
yes,
Okay,
yes.
and the passion.
Every decision that we make, we put farmers on top of it. And if
Yes.
there's like something like, I think it's too commercially the decision that we're trying to make.
Okay.
You should. I can expect someone from the team will really raise the voice and say, I think it's
Wow.
not fair for the farmers. So
And that's the human and the hard component of this.
yes.
All right. Now you talked about the team. How did you build this team? You mentioned during the break that you went from 4, now you have 16. What were those things you look for in getting your people? Because it's not easy to get people to share the same vision and to be this passionate. How did you grow them, and what are those factors that you look for in growing your team?
The initial filter that we have is
Yeah.
really the passion for the sector of agriculture,
Okay.
for the farmer themselves.
Okay.
Well, particularly for most of the functions.
Okay.
I cannot say that the only function that I don't really check whether
Right.
they are passionate in agriculture is the tech part.
Got it. Yeah.
The
Because that's not your game, right?
particularly
Yeah.
the freelance tech people
Got it.
that
Okay.
we work with. But for everything else, the ones that interfacing with the farmer, with the lender,
Right.
they really need to have the heart for the farmer.
Okay. And how do you define the heart?
Okay, so by defining the heart, it's really understanding
Okay.
what the farmers or our farmers are actually experiencing.
Okay.
And even better if they have first-hand experience by being a son of a farmer or a granddaughter or a grandson
deeply
of a farmer.
entrenched.
Yes.
Really. Okay, sounds good. That's awesome. Now, in terms of managing a team, you're a first-time entrepreneur, right? Majority of the time, we fuck shit up in the first time, right? What are those things that make you manage your team pretty well, like the checks and balances? Because you're out there on literally the fields as we go along. How do you make sure that everything's on point and whatnot? Because I don't know how many times you actually get to see them face to face and whatnot. You have to have a system in place to get this to work.
Sure. Okay, so it was actually a very challenging task to actually learn how to lead.
Right.
And I'm still learning, to be honest.
Okay.
And one thing that actually worked for me is finding the right department heads
your colonels, your sergeants
to lead with me.
Got it. And how did you define who those were from the crop or whatever? So I keep saying puns, pun intended. Right? From the whole field. Who do you pick as your sergeant or your next in line?
So in terms of really identifying potentials of people, it's really working first with them for a short period of time, getting to know them, seeing how they actually function as an individual and as a team player. Then only then you'll realize, okay, this person is good for this particular department. Eventually after the contract, I can start opening that particular position.
All right, sounds good. All right, let's take a deep dive now on the tips, because I like the way that you're really preaching what you're teaching here. Frugality, agriculture, social enterprise, whatever. What's your tips for those people who are deeply or still trying to figure out the funding ways and whatnot, aside from the cheese dog tip that you have? What are your tips in being frugal as a founder? Because it's hard to be frugal. Some founders will also have different scenarios, like you have a family to feed or you're a breadwinner and whatnot. What would be those tips for those people who are into this stage right now of their startup life?
Okay, so actually it's hard for me to give advice to those people who actually have family and so on, since I'm in a different position.
Yeah, but what worked for you, I guess? What are those things that helped you out?
Okay, so I guess the first thing that worked for me is understanding that I don't really need big brands or branded shirt, branded clothes, or I don't really need to make people believe that I'm of a certain class or of a certain state. Yeah. So I feel comfortable wearing old clothes, old everything.
Right.
And
hopefully the underwear still sticks through, not bacon.
But that's during the first few months, because you really need to save. So I don't feel the need of buying new things. Basically, that's
what did you sacrifice? Because at the end of the day, as you're saving, you got to be sacrificing those things. What did you take or do less of or buy less of, just so that you can extend that runway?
Okay, so I'm not really a very materialistic person in the first place, so I don't really get to spend, but it's really, I think, the experiences, because I don't get to travel really much for leisure. Okay. Especially with friends.
Got it. So you sacrifice that social aspect, but hey.
And the dinner time, those things, I guess.
Cheese dog is life. Alright, sounds good. Okay, now in terms of looking back into this, because recently in the news, right, it's heartbreaking to see that, some farmers in a province have a surplus of mangoes, and now it's like, how come this is happening? And what can we do to help those farmers? Because why are they overproducing when I'm pretty sure there's so much supply so much demand that why is this happening, and how can we help those farmers out?
Okay, so I'll go with one use case.
Okay.
So for example, in vegetables, sometimes farmers have this herd mentality. Or for example, this season, I plant ampalaya.
Okay.
And the price is very high, and the harvest is also very high. And I earn jackpot. I earn 1 million peso.
Wow.
So the following cropping season, everyone will plant ampalaya.
Copycat
so the prices
mentality.
Will drop, and so they earn less. So those things happen, but that's not always the case. of the oversupply.
So is that what happened in the recent news that, there's oversupply of mango? Because mango is not a crop, it's a fucking fruit.
Yes.
How come that happened? And the fucking garlic or whatever. How come this happens and then we have to import? What as a people, as lenders, as people that fucking consume these products, just so that our countrymen don't get fucked over, how can we help? And how can we help you achieve your goals as well?
Okay, actually it's hard to solve that particular problem, but
Sure.
the things that we can actually do for the farmers is one, buying from the farmers themselves.
Okay.
If there are opportunities to do that, do so.
How? I don't know because how the hell do I mean? There's now these things that called grow kits and
Yes.
whatnot. Like majority of the time they die. I try my best. me and my girlfriend try our best, but but try again. We're persistent. Maybe we'll resuscitate the lettuce that died.
Okay.
Right? But how do you get access to these? Because this is not out in the open, and that's a challenge always. I want to buy fresh fucking mangoes from wherever, but I don't know where. Because when I go to the supermarket, it's the same brand, Dole,
Yes.
whatever. I'm not trying to hit on anyone, but how do I get access to this?
Okay, so there are actually startups who are already doing this.
Oh shit, really?
But we're not really in that particular space,
Got
but
it.
we're trying to work with them as well.
Oh, perfect.
So there are startups like Imagsasaka,
Really?
Agraba, who are trying to help farmers
Agraba,
get
right?
access to the market.
Arabia, no, I just recently watched Aladdin's like, holy shit, that's where they got their name. Okay, cool.
And there's this session market also, and grow food, grow. Sorry, I can't.
No problem.
yeah,
But
yeah.
whoever they are.
Yeah.
But eventually, whatever they're gonna sell on your shit will come from you.
Yeah.
Right. Now, let's talk about competition. Right.
Mhm.
You have some competition here that I think I remember. How do you make sure that you're not stepping on each other's toes? Because at the end of the day, you don't want it to get ugly because the problem is huge.
It is.
Right. And then there's more than enough space for everybody. How do you make sure that you're coexisting with them well, and how do you also still stand out and putting yourself out there as the main champ that you are now?
Actually, for us, seeing other companies finance farmers or provide investments to
Right.
farmers is really a good thing. We don't necessarily have existing relationships with them,
Okay.
but we are happy that they are there in their
Yes.
areas because it's really a very huge market and
Okay.
farmers really need help.
Absolutely. Okay, last few questions before we do that. Okay, let's go back to this one thing that really struck a chord with me when we were starting out, right? What's your tip for those founders who are in that rut, through the hard times, like going through a breakup and whatnot? What's your personal why? Of course, you're lucky you had you're the farmers, right?
Yeah.
But it's got to be more than that, man. I'm pretty sure. Deep inside, within you, what would be your advice for those people who are going through a lot and have this burden, this cross to carry as a startup? How do you keep pushing through on a daily? Because mental health, emotional health, that's something that we go through a lot and we never talk about because it's taboo.
Yes.
Nobody. When someone asks you in a startup, like, how are you startup? Of course, the default is doing good. Of course, right?
True.
But we never fucking talk like, bro, I'm fucking dying right now, right? We don't talk about. Maybe when you're drunk already. There's two people
That's
left.
the
in
time
the
you
room.
actually release everything
Correct.
in
But
there.
how did you do this, and what would be your advice for those people who are currently in this state, in this startup, beyond what the mask that they're
That's true.
showing in the startup events? Deep inside, there's this child that
Yes.
just needs some encouragement. How did you push through with yours, and what would be your advice for them?
Okay, so I think first thing is that I believe everyone actually have this dark thoughts in them.
Yeah.
It just so happened that for some people it's getting bigger, and for
Right.
some they are able to suppress it a bit.
Yeah.
But one key thing, it's easy to say be positive, be
Yeah.
optimistic, be hopeful, but
Yeah.
it's hard to actually do it. But there are ways to actually make your mind a bit free from thinking about all these things, because if you offload this burden for, let's say, an hour or
Right.
30 minutes, then your mind will be a bit more fresh to
Right.
actually think and find solutions to the problem. So
yeah.
some of the things that I actually did before was actually I run a lot, I work out, because these are really physically enabling you to be more positive.
God,
and
the
it
endorphins
also,
will come out.
you'll feel also more positive with how it actually impacts how you look and how you actually feel about your health, that you're even better as a person.
Looking back to your lowest of lows, what do you think would made you bounce back? Because there's always that moment that till now, if I can share that in a different episode and whatnot, but those really stick with me the most. The times that I break down and cry and whatnot. What were those for you? Knowing that you've been there now, and how would you now solve that, knowing what you know now?
Okay. Yeah.
No problem. This is usually the same reaction I get at this moment, but we all go through that, right? And I've done it differently, but looking back, like shit, I should have done it this way now. If I'm going through that again, how would you go through it again?
Okay. One thing that worked for me is actually looking at things at the bigger perspective.
Okay.
Looking at it, this problem is just a small piece of the bigger picture that you're trying to achieve.
Right.
And for me, I'm trying to take it also as a challenge.
Right.
That this problem right now could actually be more of this.
Got it.
In the future if I will scale up.
Yeah.
So I really need to find the solution, and actually I really need to think of becoming better problem solver. And another thing of this topic, it's really because we always make decisions, we always do things, and not everything goes the way we plan it.
Yeah.
But the only thing that I always think of is that I should be 50 plus 1% right.
50 plus 1% right.
So that I know that I'm still on the right track.
Got it. Right. Just a little bit over what the median,
the wrong
per se.
things that you did. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. This is awesome stuff. Now, what's next for you, Ruel? Now you listen. How much did you win in the thing? And you've had $1 million, man. Congratulations. Right. What's next for Cropital? Is there anything that the fellow Filipinos who are listening to this now, because this is your opportunity to now share this to the listeners or whoever are watching us on YouTube and whatnot. How can we support? Because we want to support, right? I want rice, and it's fresh rice, and not whatever rice that I'm eating and whatnot, right? How can we support you and the farmers that you're supporting?
Okay, to everyone who actually wants to support farmers, what they can do is they can visit www.cropital.com and sign up. So by signing up in the community, you're already doing a lot of help to the farmers in there. And aside from that, if you are actually also present, or if you know farmer communities who might be needing our help, then don't be afraid, or please feel free to reach out to us.
There's so much more that we can help, right?
Yes.
All right, sounds good. Now, again, thanks to you, Ruel. Appreciate it for being here in the show. I hope you had a great time.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate it. So this is going to be out very soon, like what I said, season 2. And the difference now is you have video, so it's more genuine. They now see how fucking stupid I look and every time and whatnot. So you mentioned earlier there's a dark side. The dark side is me, my skin, because I'm the dark one.
My skin too.
All right, sounds good. So again, guys, thank you very much for listening. For those of you who are listening to this through your app, please don't forget to follow us on whatever podcast app that you guys are listening on to. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like, comment, and subscribe and whatnot. And don't forget to join our community. We also have a community of hustlers on Facebook. It's called the Hustleshare community. Just go search it up, Hustleshare community on Facebook, and join. And lastly, please don't forget to message us on our chatbot, powered by chatbotph at m.me/hustleshare. And I'll see you guys in the next episode. Thank you, Ruel.
Thank you so much.
Peace.